Welcome back to the channel. This is the Ian West Network, of course, and today we're going to talk about, let me pull up the little picture real fast. There we go. Today we're going to talk about the differences between the a52 and a53. Now, of course, I'm using the a52 5G. It's the 5G version, not the regular one. Let's not confuse them. So the problem I'm having here is that, again, Samsung comes out every year with a new device. It happens all the time. Here's a little comparison right here. We're going to talk about it. Now, this article is from phonesdata.com, so shout out to them. I'll leave the link in the description for those that will actually want to see the differences right here. But again, I'm an a52 5G user, which the phone I believe did launch with Android 11, and of course, I think they said they're going to get 3 years worth of software updates. So the phone is currently on Android 12. I'm using it right now, but the a53 5G is going to be the successor to the phone. Probably going to be sold at T-Mobile and other stores if they decide to release that particular model. And in a sense, it has some minor upgrades and it has some definitely downgrades that it's a little concerning for me. So the first thing first is the battery life. The a52 5G had a 4,500 mAh battery life, while the a53 is going to have a 4,860. So they're stressing the fact that they do want to have a better battery life for the device. But again, that is going to come at a cost where they're lowering the actual wattage of the charging to 15. And we're going to get to that in a second, but let's just talk about a little bit about the screen. So supposedly it's going to have AMOLED. Now, I don't know how true that is. Most Samsung devices do in this space, but the a52 did have Super AMOLED with the 120 hertz. Now, they're both going to stick to 120 hertz, which is a good thing because you can't charge the same $499 price tag and have worse specifications. Of course, they're removing the headphone jack because that's something that everyone is doing nowadays, even in the mid-tier market. So that's a real bummer because I actually use the headphone jack for a lot of things, especially with headphones and doing recordings. But it is what it is. It's unfortunate. Screen size 6.46, while 6.5. So realistically, you're not going to tell too much of a difference when using them. If we're talking about screen format, that's the same 20:9. Screen area ratio is practically the same. I'm not going to really repeat that. You're seeing it in real time along with me. The PPI is 405 for the a53, 407 for the a52 5G, 1080 by 2400, so that's pretty much the same. But because of the slight screen differences, that's probably why there's a slight difference in resolution. And one is Super AMOLED, one's going to be AMOLED. But that could be wrong. That could be wrong. It might be Super AMOLED for the a53 also. We'll see. I don't think the phone's been released yet. 120 hertz. We already know about that. 800 nits tops for both of them. The a52. Actually, I think the a52 also has always on display, but that's a feature that I normally turn off. But it really depends on how you use it. I don't really care for things just draining my battery. Of course, the cameras, for the most part, are going to be practically identical. You're looking at it now, right now. To be honest with you, most of these mid-tier market phones tend to use the same camera for years upon years before doing I'm not going to say a major update, but like some type of actual change to the upgrade later on, probably 2-3 years down the line, when there's I don't know, 56 or some nonsense. They'll probably go ahead and actually change the camera itself. But for the most part, that's exactly the same. So what you're experiencing with the a52 5G, you're going to experience with the a53. So be careful with that. If you're thinking you're jumping up to a phone that's going to have a substantially better camera, you're lying to yourself. It's not going to happen. Then the a53 will use the Exynos 1200 chip. I don't know anything about that in terms of the benchmarks, but when I did look up the actual benchmarks, the a52 5G did a better I believe it was a multi-core score, maybe by like 10-20 points or something, while the single-core score was a little bit higher on the a53 5G. I think actually maybe about 50 or 60 points or so, 100 tops. So it varies. It's not going to be that much of a difference. I am a little worried about this Exynos chip actually for gaming and processing videos and using things like UCut and other applications, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, granted, if we're looking at internal memory, there will be different variations of both of them. One says 128 gigabytes and 8 gigs of RAM for the a53 5G. Now, it's rumored, based on other websites, which I'm not going to pull up right now, that the a53 5G, if I had to add the 5G in there, because they might have a regular a53 version, might come out with a 6 gig RAM version and then an 8 gig RAM. The 6 gig I see happening coming to like stores like T-Mobile, Metro, probably Cricket, AT&T, things like that. the 8 gig 256 model, I don't see them releasing that, especially at that $499 price tag. That's just not going to happen. It's unrealistic. They're going to definitely charge more money, and that's probably going to have to be something that you're going to have to order. Versus the a52 5G, which has 128 gigs standard, 6 gigs of RAM standard. There is a model that comes at 8 gigs of RAM, and there is a model that comes in 256. So again, I'm not sure if those other models are going to be in the what do you call it? The United States market, the U.S. market. I say United States, the U.S. market. Normally, you have to order those types of phones, but realistically, I pretty much see the a53 5G coming in 6 gigs of RAM being practically the same as the a52. There isn't going to be any monumental changes between the two, if we're being realistic here. If we keep scrolling, both are obviously 5G phones. That doesn't change. Looks like even the Wi-Fi is going to be exactly the same. So again, you're not getting a huge upgrade where if you're one of those people where you like getting the next thing, this isn't like the iPhone 12 to the 13 or the 10 to the 11 to the 12 to the 13, where there are some changes that might benefit you. No, there aren't really going to be any incremental changes. If anything, they're taking away the headphone jack, number one. They still have the fingerprint display, as you can see. Nothing that hasn't changed. Still IP67. So unless more information comes out, it's practically the same phone. The huge downgrade was what I wanted to talk about. And I hate this. This is going to stop me from actually using this phone as a daily driver. I might get to review it, but that's about it. The a52 has fast charging of 25 watts. Say that again to you guys. 25 watt fast charging, which 30 minutes, 50% in 30 minutes. Same as what Apple devices currently do right now. And I can vouch for the fact that I have this 25 watt Samsung brick, which USB-C to USB-C. And even using the brick while listening to movies, TV shows, YouTube, things like that, it still charges at a very good pace versus the 15 watt, which the 15 watt is what comes inside the box, I believe, of the a52 regular. When I used that brick, let me tell you something, it felt like it took hours for my phone to charge. So I highly, and the fact that Samsung is releasing this phone soon, if they didn't already release it, we already know that that slow charging that you're going to experience with Motorola devices and others that are 15 watts, the typical basic charging. Even the OnePlus N100 has an 18 watt charger, I believe. They're not even willing to give you that for a $500 price tag, which is extremely disrespectful to, I'm about to say the player base, excuse me, to the customer base. 15 watts should not be the norm. At this point, 15 watts, I guess, should be for like the entry-level phones that are like a couple $100 with 32 gigs internally or 64. This should not be for a $500 device. You have the balls to put a 15-watt charger inside the box. That is disgusting, and that's assuming if they include it with the charger inside the box. They still do include it with the mid-tier phones, but this is Samsung. When a fad happens, they normally start removing chargers, so we'll see. But 15 watt, I'm telling you, it's like night and day when it comes to charging. If one charges 50% in 30 minutes, the other one is going to be an hour and some change just to get to 15%, maybe 2 hours and some change just to get to 100%, which is unacceptable in 2022. I have to say the whole thing, not 2022, 2022. Yeah, there should be no device that takes that long to charge. I don't know why they would lower the wattage. I don't know if that saves them money. Just seems like a dumb tactic in my opinion. Or then again, it's possible that they want this to stay in a low tier market, and they feel like, you know what, maybe we gave too many features to the a52 because people are buying that phone. I don't know. I know the a51 sold very well, and I think that supported 25 watt charging. I could be wrong, but I think it did. The a52, in my opinion, it was much better than the a51. Obviously, I have to say this part right here. Bluetooth 5.2 on the a53 for those that care about the Bluetooth, 5.0 for the a52, 5G. Again, I don't care that deeply because all the devices I have work perfectly fine. Only thing I hook up is headphones to these and nothing else. Maybe a microphone through a headphone jack or things like that. They're removing features. Sure, you made it a slightly bigger battery and battery life. The least they could have did was make it 5,000, 6,000 if you want to be technical, because that slow charging is really going to make a difference for people that are used to a certain speed phone and then buy this and say, wait a minute, this charges slower than the a52. What is that about? And again, Samsung's not going to explain that. But for the $500, $499, it's not a bad phone. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not. The camera's basically the same camera module. Nothing really changes. The designs, for the most part, is going to be the same. This particular website doesn't show the phone, but again, it's practically the same exact phone, so don't be fooled. If you already have an A52 5G, I suggest getting another one at the lower price tag, like Metro right now, and is doing a $199 for that phone as a new activation. I think regular price is like $249 as a new activation, plus the bill you have to pay that. Versus, I don't know if there are going to be any carrier deals for this particular device, but that's about it. If you guys like this type of video, let me know, and I'll post more tech videos on this channel rather than just unboxings. I'll kind of mix it up. But again, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Hit the notification bell so you can get videos popping up, and when they come in, support the channel. Hey, it's free. It's free. So support the channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.